What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Radiovania, episode number 46, your nerdy public radio for all things entertainment and pop culture. My name is Zach Rotello, and sitting across from me is John Swansong Parker. Welcome back, buddy.
Welcome back to yourself.
So,
it's good to be back.
Forgive us if we have to blow the cobwebs off.
Yeah.
But we're here. We came back. It's been about
a month again.
It's been about a month again. So we took a month off for Europe, and then we recorded the Wonder Woman show, which just went up this past week.
Yep.
And then you took a month off and went to Hawaii with your family.
I did.
So we got a lot to talk about.
So much.
If you've never listened to an episode of the show, the concept is very simple. We're going to talk about movies, video games, television, Emmys, sports, all the big stuff that's going on in pop culture around the world right now. We're going to kick things off with some Spider-Man Homecoming discussion because we just saw it. Also, maybe a little War of the Planet of the Apes, which John and I saw last night. We're going to talk about all the news that's going on with the Han Solo spinoff and all the debacle that's happening there. We're going to talk about Batman and Matt Reeves and how we feel about that movie. And then we got some gaming news peppered in there, as well as some comic book shop talk from your own John Swansong.
This is going to be a hefty.
It's going to be hefty, so buckle in.
I'm excited.
Let's lead off. So tell me about Hawaii. You went on a you went to a very specific location that means a very specific thing for this show.
Yes, yeah. So when we went to Hawaii for about two and a half weeks. We went to the island of Oahu, Maui, and Lanai. We went to Oahu first for a couple days, stayed at a resort, went to Maui for like a week, and then came back for like another 5 days on Oahu.
So tell me this: how much Moana merchandise did you see in Hawaii?
There is a Disney resort there called Aulani now, and so a lot there, but otherwise not a whole lot in Hawaii.
Okay, interesting.
They talk about it, and like on the normal pop radio stations, they play Moana music. So, like back when we were kids, you had to listen to like Radio Disney to hear songs from like High School Musical and like the latest Disney cartoons and stuff like that. In Hawaii, they embraced the movie so much that they played on the radio, which I thought was cool because that's a fantastic movie. It's very fun.
Good soundtrack.
Yeah, great soundtrack. But so that was a lot of fun. But one of the days in Honolulu, Shelby and I went to Kualoa Ranch, which is kind of up towards the northern end of the island of Oahu, and went on the Premiere Movie Sites tour, which, as a movie buff like myself, Shelby's also a big movie fan, was just awesome. The Premiere Tour is a little bit more expensive, but it's definitely a leg up from the regular tour. The regular tour, they just load you up in a school bus and drive you to a couple places, and that only scratches like a third of the stuff they have there. So the Premiere thing, you get a nice air-conditioned Mercedes van with a really cool tour guide. You can actually go follow him on Instagram. His name is Zen Tour Guide, so at Zen Tour Guide. He's a really cool guy. His name's George. He's awesome, and I'll get more into that as we go along.
Yeah.
But so we had about a dozen people total, including him, and they drive you around the ranch in the van, and they stop at places and they play the clip from the movie up on the screen in the van. That way you can have some context. You get out, take pictures, and he'll take pictures of you. He even shot little videos that he posts on his Instagram account, which I'll have to show you sometime.
Okay. Did you guys make it on the Grant?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because he posts one every day from every tour that he has. So there's a lot of Jurassic stuff there because this ranch, they had been filming movies there since the 50s, like with Elvis and stuff like that. But it really took off when Spielberg finished up a couple of little things for Jurassic Park back in 92 or 93, whenever he was finishing shooting that movie. Because they were filming in Kauai, there was a big hurricane, they had to move to Oahu, and he had to shoot the scene where Dr. Grant and the kids are running in that herd of dinosaurs, and the T-Rex comes out of the woods and starts eating stuff, and they jump behind the log. So the log is the big tourist attraction there, you can hide behind it, stuff like that. So when we went to the log, our guy George, he has this little toy dinosaur that's like, maybe like 18 inches long, but when you hold it up to the camera, he made it look big, like it was chasing us, and so we'd all run across.
That's awesome.
And we'd be like, ah! And like one of us would fall down, and he'd pretend to eat us. So that was really cool. But like some highlights from the tour, we went to the Indominus Rex paddock from Jurassic World. You get to stand in the viewing outlook and look out there, and like the scratches are still on the wall and stuff. It's made of plaster, so you can like knock on it and it's hollow, but it looks like concrete. It's just cool, all this behind the scenes movie stuff. A lot of Lost things there too, because they filmed Hurley's golf course, and any shot where they're walking in a valley in Lost was filmed there. Also later that day, we went to the beach where they filmed all the Survivor Camp Beach stuff in that show. So I was like geeking out the whole day. They have the computer from The Hatch where you had to type in the code. So I typed in the code 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42. Hit enter.
And does Sirens
save
go?
the world. Yeah.
Oh, you saved the world?
Yep.
Congrats. Good job.
Thank you. That was one of the coolest things that I ever did. So they filmed that there. Kong was recently filmed there as well. So they have all these gigantic styrofoam bones from that scene, like you might have seen in the trailers where they're walking and it's all misty and they have giant skulls and stuff.
Yeah.
So they ask people that film there to leave stuff behind. But some news that we can segue into was they had just finished filming Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle there, as well as they just finished filming at the ranch principal photography on Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. The workshop title that our guy had to refer to it as was called Secret Futures because he's contractually obligated with the NDA. So he took us to some places where they're filming Jurassic World, where they had finished filming, and showed us some of the sets that they left behind, which are actually really dope.
Okay, so what all was included?
Okay, so first off, he took us to a river that is very iconic with a lot of things that filmed there. Lost is shot there. Jurassic World 2 is filmed there, Kong and stuff like that. It's just this creek that runs through this really luscious jungle. Sure. He's like, right over there a few days ago, Jeff Goldblum and Chris Pratt were here, and they're running through the river getting chased by dinosaurs. So also full disclosure, there's going to be spoilers for potential things that could happen in Jurassic World.
Spoilers.
If you care, the dinosaurs are going to chase people. That's what happens. So they eventually run through the jungle at some point. Plot details. Chris Pratt has never left Isla Nublar since the devastating attack on Jurassic World because he's looking for Blue, his favorite raptor friend who survived at the end of the movie when they helped fight the Indominus Rex. Spoilers. And so Blue is still on the island because InGen is still trying to turn the dinosaurs into weapons. And so Chris Pratt's trying to get Blue out of there, and it's a race against time type stuff.
Okay.
Also, they said that this will probably be the last time they film on Isla Nublar, like in quotations, they're filming in Hawaii, because there's a large explosion at the end of the movie that wipes out a majority of the island.
Wow.
So I don't know if that's detonations or volcanoes or something like that. They drove us by one of the props that they were still shipping out, which was a gigantic, like almost as long as this room, trailer with a fence on the side with a gigantic practical effect triceratops that is sleeping. And so he like had a blanket covering up everything except for his face, and it was just like lying there. It was awesome. It was really cool.
I didn't realize it was going to be that in depth, like how much they're actually able to tell you guys. Like that's a pretty significant plot.
I know, right? So I'm like, I got the inside scoops on that Jurassic World, son.
Scoop.
So I think that's about it with that. They were still filming on the island, but just at different locations. But they finished
principal photography and all that stuff. Oh, that's awesome, man. I mean, if someone were interested in doing something like that, how much does it usually cost to do the tour?
So for this tour that we did, it was about like $115.
Okay, that's actually not as bad as that.
But they provide snacks. Cool. Your guide is really, really fun. I think this guy does all the premiere ones, so most likely you'll get George, which is really cool.
Cool.
It's about 2 to 3 hours, so you definitely get your money's worth. He shows you a lot of cool things, and he tells you really fun stories because he used to work in Hollywood for 30 years on production stuff. And then he's met all the people that come through. So he talked about meeting Chris Pratt, Dwayne Johnson, Goldblum, like all that stuff. So.
Yeah. Well, when I was in Hawaii back in high school, we went to the Kualoa. We went to the Kualoa Ranch, and we didn't get to do the tours or anything like that, but we did stop in the gift shop, and we looked around. We got to take photos of the mountain ridge, and even if you don't think that you know exactly what we're talking about, look up a photo. I guarantee you've seen this in some movie or some property because we obsess about Jurassic Park and Lost and all that stuff, but there's like hundreds of movies. 50 First Dates. Yeah, it's like one. Even dramedies have like that mountain
Matthew
range
Broderick Godzilla was filmed there. People are into Kong as much as I didn't necessarily like it a whole lot.
Yeah.
That was a big one recently, so.
Well, that's cool. I'm glad you enjoyed your trip.
It was cool. He talked about like there's a pond where they film where Chris Pratt's character's like bungalow is when he's working on that motorbike and talking about dinosaurs banging and stuff. Also on that pond, though, they shot just like B-roll / background footage of the pond and things jumping out for the Mosasaurus Rex scene. And then they CGI'd the rest of everything in there for that scene when it jumps out and eats the great white shark in the show and splashes everybody. It's just crazy how all that gets put together.
Yeah.
You know, that movie cost a lot
of money,
make.
yeah.
Which is good that it made a bunch of money back, but
yeah, well, that's a discussion for another time. Is the how we're feeling about Jurassic World 2. I'm interested to see that trailer because having Goldblum in it totally helps me be excited.
Yeah, and I like Chris Pratt, and his character in Jurassic World is fine.
But,
you know,
yeah, I don't know. I just didn't like Jurassic World enough to be
if those kids don't come
excited.
back, then it's like,
going to be pretty much perfect.
That's good, right?
That's good.
Like, if
totally
it's,
good.
I mean, Bryce Dallas Howard isn't terrible now that she's
she's
gotten out of the high heel business thing, you know.
And I like Nick Miller, but even he was a little bit too much in that show.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure he's not on the IMDb roll call right now.
either.
So I mean, like, you get Howard, Chris Pratt, and Goldblum, and like I could watch those guys hang out. You know, Dr. Grant will probably show up. So
you think so?
Yeah.
You think so?
He's gonna be like hiding in a cave, and he's gonna
so.
be like, "I've been here for 30 years."
I think if they couldn't get him for the first one, they're not going to do him for the second one. I think Goldblum is their centerpiece for this.
Yeah.
But
he's arguably a better character, you know.
For sure.
Yeah.
Let's go faster.
Mm-hmm.
So let's jump into movie news. And before we jump into the big news topic, we both saw Homecoming.
We did.
Spider-Man Homecoming is probably the biggest, in terms of biggest movies of the year, the biggest one of the past month.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
So
July and June releases besides Wonder Woman.
Yeah. So what were your thoughts?
I enjoyed Spider-Man Homecoming a lot. It was a very fun movie. I have my, issues with it, but I didn't go in I didn't come out of the movie disappointed. I went in not with super high expectations, but kind of like I hope that they meet these certain points based on what I've seen from the trailers and what I liked about Tom Holland and Civil War. And I felt like they met those expectations pretty well. And, there was a lot of great comedy that wasn't ruined in trailers. That was great. And a lot of the new young characters that they have, like Ned, Tom Holland's great. Marissa Tomei is fine in the parts that they actually give her. Robert Downey Jr. wasn't overhanded used too much. Like, I thought it was kind of nice that I thought he was going to be in a lot more. And I would say he's maybe in like 20% of the movie as opposed to what I thought was going to be like 40.
Yeah.
I thought Jon Favreau it was fun to see him again, and I thought Michael Keaton crushed this villain, which has a lot more depth than most of the Marvel villains that we've been getting lately, like Malekith and
Malekith the Accuser,
and stuff like that. Like I thought that the performance was really well, and also that actor is just terrifying. Like
Keaton's definitely a scary guy.
Yeah, for sure. And I thought that they made the Vulture work. They continue to surprise me with these wacky comic book characters that they can make work really well. It was kind of like how I was pleasantly surprised with Thomas Hayden Church's Sandman in Spider-Man 3. Because like Sandman he's probably like a B/C level Spider-Man villain, but he's the best.
Really well.
He's the best villain in that movie.
For sure.
Because Venom is bad.
Because you can empathize with him.
Yeah, and it's a good performance. Yeah, and that's the thing that I think is interesting is it kind of helps with these Spider-Man movies because Spider-Man is such an empathetic character. And, it seems like every villain is like related to his friend somehow or something like that. But, like the Doc Ock stuff and even Norman Osborn to an extent. Yeah. And then Sandman. And then I think Keaton kind of continued to carry that torch, which was really cool. Yeah.
So we're going to steer away from spoilers-ish. But I will be referring vaguely to some moments in the movie. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was high tier Marvel. It wasn't in the C levels where I'd put like Dark World and Ant-Man,
First Avenger,
and I actually like First Avenger quite a bit. But I would also.
But think about all the other ones that we have. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Like, they can't all be A and B.
No, that's true. But. Yeah, so I guess I would put it in there. But I also kind of put it in there with the first Thor, maybe. I wouldn't put it in, like, that's a C category.
Okay.
Spider-Man is like right in that A, so it's like not quite as good as Guardians, not quite as good as Avengers. It's not Iron Man 1, but it's really solid.
I'd give it like an A-, B+.
Yeah, it's solid all the way through. The thing with me, and my biggest sticking point, is that I've come to the realization that I don't think in my lifetime I will ever be able to disassociate Tobey Maguire, Tim Burton, Spider-Man in my
Sam
mind.
Raimi Spider-Man.
Sam Raimi, sorry, not Tim Burton.
Tim Burton Spider-Man would be awful.
Crazy. Sam Raimi.
Johnny Depp would be Spider-Man.
For sure. No, Johnny Depp would be Doc Ock.
Oh, God.
Or Green Goblin.
I would see that.
So
he'd be creepy.
It's hard for me to disassociate Sam Raimi Spider-Man from anything else, anything Spider-Man related, because I honestly think that those movies are even. This is probably just like a little bit better than, a lot better than Spider-Man 3 in terms of things. But for me, I liked it a little bit better than Spider-Man 3. I would still put it as not as enjoyable for me as 2 and 1 in Sam Raimi's trilogy, just because I think those movies, and we were discussing this in the car, is those movies succeed where Marvel has been failing recently, which is exposition. Mm-hmm. Spider-Man Homecoming kind of just drops you into the middle of this thing and really kind of, I mean, like, they sum it up in the beginning okay, but they really expect you to have seen Civil War and to understand where Peter Parker, the character, is in this point in his life and why he's Spider-Man. They don't talk about Uncle Ben at all. They don't talk about...
They will, though. You know what I mean?
They will, but, like, when you're introducing us to a character, I personally, and I know that people would say, like, but Zach, we've had this story 2 times before. It's like, we don't need a third Spider-Man reboot. And I was like, fine. But we at least need a little bit more time to get to know who Peter Parker is, because what Sam Raimi's movies did so well is that it emphasizes the moments when he is Spider-Man because of the people that he knows around him. Like, him saving the Aunt May scene and all that stuff are like, you know, like, even in the third one, as silly as it is, when Harry starts, like, you know, becoming into his own, it's kind of like, it makes more sense because you've gotten to know those characters over a few movies.
And we might get more of that because we're getting a trilogy out of this. But I get what you're saying. How I interpreted the direction they wanted to take is they didn't want to rehash Peter Parker becoming Spider-Man. What they wanted to do was Peter Parker becoming a hero. You know, it's like, it's one thing to have these powers and to have a costume built by Tony Stark and stuff like that, but it's about how you carry yourself. And it's basically like they made a movie about with great power comes great responsibility, but without ever saying it. Sure. You know? So I thought that it was cool because it's different, but he still feels like Spider-Man, you know, and it's a lot of the same battles that both Tobey Maguire and Tom Holland have to fight with, you know, like juggling friends and hiding your secret from Aunt May and dealing with the villain and then finding out this big reveal and, you know, all this other stuff.
And the pros are many. I mean, like, the actors that they all got in the cast are all spectacular. Everyone's funny and witty and charming, and they all look their part, you know. I think the action is really well done, especially in the third act. I think it's very claustrophobic is the word I would use. It's like they bring it in tight because, and that leads to my third pro, is that we see a Spider-Man that lives in Queens and can't do all the things that Spider-Man could do in like Amazing Spider-Man or in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, like swinging across buildings in New York, flying on top of the Empire State Building, doing these crazy twists. Yeah. It's like there's one scene where he like literally stops at a golf course and has to run across because there's nothing to shoot his webs. It's hilarious. It's awesome, and it's like that kind of stuff. The stuff that they threw in there for us hardcore Spider-Man fans that like go back watch these movies. It's like that's a really smart way to do it, and I think that. Because this movie is more of a nod to the fans and the people that love Spider-Man and want to see him in the MCU, I don't think it succeeds necessarily as well on its own as a movie like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, where it kind of exists in its own little ecosystem.
It is very much still a Marvel universe, and you can get that in, you know, ebbs and flows and stuff like that. You know, I will say some of like character reveals for actors who we didn't know what character they were going to be playing, and then we see the movie. Sometimes felt very latched on for like no apparent reason, but it didn't like do enough to derail something like a Batman v Superman with like the Justice League reveals.
Oh, by the way, here's Wonder Woman in a photograph.
Yeah, and then here's like no one's emailing anybody. Like, by the way, my name is blank. You know, stuff like that. But it's like if you are a comic book fan, some of those things are really cool, and it's like I see what you're doing there. I see where you're going. Just don't let it take you away from making good Spider-Man stuff. Yeah,
like the subtle nod to Shocker I liked. Like, just one guy's the Shocker and all of a sudden...
He's like, you're the Shocker.
You're the Shocker now. Okay, all right, that's fine. I
thought that was great.
But my biggest con... You ready for this?
I'm ready.
Biggest problem with the movie, totally the worst thing ever. Hate it. I can't stand it. When they get to... slight spoilers. Skip ahead a minute and a half if you don't care about movies or whatever. Just, like, listen up. Spoilers from Spider-Man Homecoming.
You should have seen it by now.
You should have seen it by now. Yeah. there's a scene where Peter Parker goes to investigate an explosion that's happening, and he sees 3 guys by an armored car, 2 guys selling one guy a weapon. That one guy's Donald Glover, right?
Yeah.
And they're trying to, they get into a little bit of a squabble, and he's trying to figure out who the 3 people are to maybe trace it back to the Vulture. And he uses the computer system, gets into the thing, and it brings up the 2 guys. And as soon as that happened, like as soon as he started, like he's like, I'm going to use these guys, the video file to like figure out who these people are. I was like, yes, he's Harry Osborn. I was like, Donald Glover's Harry Osborn. I was like, it's so obvious that he's going to be like a kind of thuggy sort of like disappointment to his father, like street gang sort of like really badass sort of Harry Osborn.
Interesting bad boy take him.
And then it popped up his name, and it said that he was Aaron Davis or whatever, which is Miles Morales' uncle.
Yeah, which I think was really cool.
It is cool, but I don't have that connection to Miles Morales necessarily. But when I saw that, when he turned out to not be Harry Osborn, I was like, man, what a letdown. That would have been so cool. That would have been such a great moment.
Prediction time. Okay, you ready? I think that they're going to make, this is crazy to say, 7 Spider-Man movies.
Okay.
All right? So you're going to have your high school trilogy, and then they're going to do 4 college movies. And the first college movie, his freshman year roommate will be Harry Osborn. I don't think they're going to touch the Osborn stuff until he goes off to college, which is kind of where you met him in the comics anyway, depending on what comic book you read. Like some interpretations, Harry and him are best friends in high school. Others, they don't meet until they're college roommates and share an apartment in like Manhattan and Midtown and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's my theory, because I do think they're gonna grind out these movies like crazy, depending on how well this first trilogy does that they do. But I mean, I get what you're saying. Like, Donald Glover is an electrifying actor. He's fantastic. You would want him to have a more prominent role.
For sure.
His character, there will be a prominent moment for them. It's just going to not be for a while.
Yeah.
Because you can't, like, you have to establish Peter Parker for a long time before you even get to Miles Morales. Like, Peter's got to, like, die or go to another dimension at some point before you bring in Miles Morales, Spider-Man, and
unless they do kind of like a buddy kind of deal.
I don't know. That could work, maybe. Sounds better than Venom.
Well, we got some news on that here in a little bit, so we'll talk about that. Wait, let's just skip to it now.
But anyway, overall opinion of Spider-Man before we move on.
So I would say...
What would you rank it? What would you rate it? Radiovania scale.
Oh, Screen Rant's giving me a little bit of a video. I would give it like an 8.5. 8.5.
That sounds fair.
Solid B+.
Okay.
Really enjoyed it. Thought the comedy was excellent. Was let down by a few characters reveals, but it didn't hinder the enjoyment of the overall film. I was just thinking, like, it's one of those situations where it's like, I think I'm the better director, and I could make a better movie than these guys, but it's like, no, I really couldn't. Like, they're doing what they do. And
this is a very fun superhero movie
awesome.
In a way that we haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah.
You know? Like, you can't... Like, Wonder Woman's great, but you can't take a young kid to Wonder Woman because you have, like, you know, war and stuff going on and all
There's
this.
some
like,
serious adult humor in Homecoming, though.
Yeah, but that flies over kids' heads, you know, the same way that stuff in, like, Monsters, Inc. or Toy Story flies over your head until you're older.
But they don't necessarily say the word porn in Monsters,
Inc. Or yeah.
Toy Story.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. That's true.
Yeah. While we're still in the Marvel Spider-Man train, Screen Rant posted an article a couple weeks ago and talked about how the Venom movie will include Carnage as the villain. It says Tom Hardy won't be the only one with a symbiote in Venom, as Carnage is also set to be included. Sony previously announced their intention to make multiple Spider-Man spin-offs, and it came as no surprise that they chose their most popular anti-hero to kick things off. Hardy has since been paired with director Ruben Fleischer for the movie, with Venom set to... But as of right now, it does not appear as though Venom's biggest opponent will... Spider-Man will be featured, which all but guarantees that someone from Spidey's vast road gallery will make their live-action debut here. The Hollywood Reporter has published a Spider-Man-focused feature wherein they speak to Sony chairman Tom Rothman about his studio's entire plans for the Spider-Verse. Eventually, the story turns into future projects for Sony and Venom specifically, where THR was able to confirm plans for Carnage to be featured, presumably as the big bad guy. So, how do you feel about that?
I don't care about a Spider-Verse that doesn't have Spider-Man in it. I think that is just heinous that you can even assume that people like those characters enough on their own. Venom's great. He's a great villain. I love watching him fight Spider-Man. You know, like, he's like, this just makes me so mad because I don't have any idea how they're going to do this. Who knows? They could be good, and maybe I'll eat a crow in a couple years when they all come out.
I think you're going to eat a crow for Venom. I think Venom with Tom Hardy has the biggest chance to be like the surprise hit.
You just don't, like, maybe you don't care as much as I do, but it just makes no sense how that would all work. Like, how do you do a Venom origin story without Spider-Man? I don't get it.
It's not going to be an origin story, though. I don't think it's going to be an origin
story. Okay, so are you not going to be mad about that, the way that they didn't do the origin story in the Spider-Man movie?
No, because if anything, it's going to be like this Venom movie, or are they filming right now?
I don't know.
I don't think they're filming right now.
Hopefully they never film it.
Jeez. Honestly, I don't know. I think put that one on the sound. Put that one on the audio soundboard. I think they're keeping their cards close to their chest. I think it's quite possible that Tom Holland is in this movie for a few minutes.
Why?
Because you're saying that you can't set up the movie without Spider-Man. It's like, okay, so have him be in the setup and then let Venom do his own thing.
Yeah, but you can't set up Venom without Spider-Man getting rid of the suit, and you can't have Spider-Man get rid of the suit until you have a whole movie about him needing to get rid of the suit because it changes his personality.
Maybe that's not how they do it. Maybe the symbiote just attaches to Eddie Brock. Or we don't even know. So do we know if Eddie...
If he's not Eddie Brock, they're stupid.
Okay. Well, okay, so... I think they're going to take a different direction with it. Obviously, the Spider-Man we saw in Homecoming is a different direction for Spider-Man. It's like, kind of, yeah, but like he's
still Peter Parker.
Yeah, but he's hanging with the Avengers, and it's
he does that.
I know that he does that, but it's like it's really early on. He's still in high school. It's like
that's fine. That'd be like you telling me that they're gonna make a Superman movie where he doesn't grow up with the Kents or something like that. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Okay, so
he's just going to start out.
Your argument is that Venom must always be fighting Spider-Man, or else he's useless.
He must have his first interaction with Spider-Man, because that's how he gets the Venom suit in the first place. I'm not saying he can't do the anti-hero thing like he does in the comics after he's created.
So that's
fine.
Here's an idea. Treat it as though so obviously Venom's going to be like the Deadpool or like the main character of the movie.
Yeah.
Treat it in the first 15 minutes, 20 minutes, like his origin of the film. Treat that as you are watching it from Venom's perspective. So you might see Tom Holland in the thing, but he's playing Peter Parker, not Spider-Man. So Venom doesn't know who Spider-Man is or whatever, but they have these interactions and he ends up getting the symbiote and the suit, but just by having interactions with Peter Parker.
So what is it, like in Tom Holland's bag and it like falls out?
I don't know. They can figure something.
Gets on his leg.
In Spider-Man 3,
he eats a sandwich.
Climbs up a wall. It falls down a church bell, right?
Yeah, that's how it happens in the books. That's what happens. Like you need the sonic wave thing to get rid of the suit because it doesn't like sound, and then it falls, and Eddie was down there, like brooding about Peter Parker, and you know.
I think that they could come up with a clever way to make it so that you don't
I'm
necessarily
sure they
need
will.
Spider-Man. But I think
I'm
Peter
sure
Parker
they will.
show
If they can make Thor work, I'm sure that they can make Venom work. It's just like the way it sounds right now, it just seems baffling to me in some of the ways that I'm worried about, like Han Solo and stuff like that.
Speaking of being worried about Han Solo,
like that one?
So let's segue to the biggest news. Biggest news topic, I think, since we've been gone.
Mm-hmm.
This comes from Variety. So settle in, John. I'm sure you've already read this once or twice. Yeah. So. Page didn't refresh, so how you doing?
I'm doing well. Playing with the Legos.
Yeah. We got some cool Legos on Back to the Future.
Yeah, we got a little toy store going on.
That's the thing. Not many people might know about this, but every single episode of Radiovania, we put some kind of action figure or toy set on the
Today we got a Lego DeLorean with Marty McFly and Doc Brown, a Batman the Animated Series action figure, and a Force Ghost display diorama thing from Hasbro from like the 90s. So it doesn't have Hayden Christensen as Anakin in it. So it's
bless up.
It's pretty dank. So
okay.
Yeah, we got some powerful figures watching over us today.
Thank you guys. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Welcome you are.
There you go.
Yeah.
Spaghetti grammar. From Variety.com, Star Wars Han Solo spinoff, Lord and Miller fired after clashing with Kathleen Kennedy.
Fired?
So this was published on June 20th, 2017.
This is what Doc Brown
updated.
thinks about that. Look at that. This is what he thinks. How could you? No! You ruined the space-time continuum! Yeah.
Phil Lord and Chris Miller's reputation for writing irreverent poppy films such as 21 Jump Street and the Lego Movie helped the white-hot writing-directing duo land one of the most coveted gigs in Hollywood, a chance to call the shots on a Star Wars film. But their chance to put their stamp on a galaxy far, far away collapsed on Thursday with the stunning announcement that the pair would be departing the still untitled Han Solo spin-off movie in the midst of production. Their exit comes after months of conflict with producer Kathleen Kennedy, others from her Lucasfilm team, and co-writer and executive producer Lawrence Kasdan, the two directors hired to infuse the Star Wars universe with a tongue-in-cheek sensibility. Miller and Lord were stunned to find out they were not being granted freedom to run the production in the manner that they were accustomed to. They balked at Kennedy's tight control on the set. A person with knowledge of the production said that the chemistry between the directors and Kennedy was never right. Quote, "It was a culture clash from day one," the source says. Quote, "She didn't even like the way they folded their socks." End quote. The source says that while Lord and Miller were supposedly hired for their vision and distinctive brand of filmmaking when it came to the Star Wars production, Kennedy did not approve of their shooting style and process of interacting with actors and crew. Quote, "They weren't given the leeway to do what they had to do," end quote, the source said. The duo also clashed with Kasdan, who had been an integral creative part of several Star Wars movies dating back to the 1980s Empire Strikes Back. Like Kennedy, he questioned many of the
Bible.
Yeah. He questioned many of the pair's directing choices. Quote, "Kathy, her team, Larry Kasdan, have been doing it their way for a long time. They know how the cheese is made, and that's how they want it made," said the source. Quote, "It became a very polarizing set," end quote. Both Kennedy and Lord and Miller alluded to differing visions for the project. So this is Lord and Miller's statement. Quote, "Unfortunately, our vision and process weren't aligned with our partners on this project. We normally aren't fans of the phrase creative differences, but for once, this cliche is true. We are really proud of the amazing and world-class work of our cast and crew," end quote, said Lord and Miller in a statement. Kennedy promised a new director would be announced shortly, and sources said that Ron Howard is in talks to take over the film, and He did. So the next article came from The Hollywood Reporter, and it reads as such. This one's also taking a while to load. We have like 20 news stories in the docket.
Sunday, Monday, happy days. Tuesday, Wednesday, happy days.
Ron Howard steps in to direct Han Solo movie exclusive. So this was published on June 22nd, 2017. So not 2 days, John, after the original article was published. They had a replacement all lined up.
Well, this has been months in the works, so they probably emailed him a while ago, and we're like, "Keep your schedule clear, Ron." And he's like, "Don't worry, I'm not doing anything."
I'm not doing it.
Heart of the Sea tanked. I'm still crying about it.
Working on a Happy Days reboot.
Oh, I would actually go see that.
Happy Day. You're assuming it's a movie?
Yeah, bring back Dr. Saperstein as Fonz. I'm in. I don't know what that actor's name is, but
also bring his kids from.
Yes, Jean-Ralphio and Mona Lisa. Yeah, that'd be hilarious if that were the Fonz kid.
So,
Money, please.
Ron Howard has been named the new director of the untitled Han Solo movie, sources tell The Hollywood Reporter exclusively. The official announcement came later Thursday morning. The official quote is, "I'm beyond grateful to add my voice to the Star Wars universe after being a fan since May 25th, 1977. Howard tweeted Thursday afternoon, quote, "I hope to honor the great work already done and help deliver on the promise of a Han Solo film." It's still set for release on May 25th, 2018. Han Solo is. So...
You know what would have been really funny is if they got George Lucas to do this movie.
No!
Can I bring in George? No, George.
My creative vision is going to trounce Phil Lord and Chris Miller.
Everybody's going to wear flannels and New Balances.
So how do we feel about this? This is obviously bad, right? This is obviously bad. I can't think of any other way that this is not good for the project.
It's bad, but I think you can still pull something good out of it to the point that we won't be super disappointed. It'll always be like one of those what ifs, Like, what if we saw Phil Lord and Chris Miller?
I do that all the time.
Yeah.
Lord and Miller.
I'm just going to do Lord and Miller. Han Solo movie. They got great comedic romps from the 21, 22 Jump Street. The Lego movie is phenomenal.
Yeah, phenomenal.
And I think the comedy in Last Man on Earth is also pretty good too. However, obviously their improvisational filming style doesn't meet up with the old school Lucas, Spielberg type of 1970s, 80s science fiction filmmaking that, Star Wars kind of relies on, at least to this point. We all like The Force Awakens because it reminded us of an original Star Wars movie. So, maybe
Force Awakens is also just a good movie.
Yeah. But it felt like a Star Wars movie in some ways that the prequels every now and then didn't. So maybe they're just worried. They got worried, and Kathleen Kennedy only wants the best. She's a very powerful figure within that company. She kind of calls all the shots. So if she didn't like it, she didn't like it. But hopefully she has the fans' best interests in heart, and we still get a good Han Solo movie out of it. But it sucks because creative vision is being just hammered away by studio involvement. We've seen so much of it within the past couple of years. Suicide Squad, Rogue One, Ant-Man with Edgar Wright and stuff like that. I don't know.
Yeah. So you touched on a point that I wanted to also hit, which was the promise of what could have been.
Yes.
And when I immediately think of that, you know what I think about with movies? When Edgar Wright got bumped off Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Edgar Wright's one of my favorite directors. I'm so excited to see Baby Driver. I love all of his stuff to death.
Drive that baby.
But I always would have, I wonder to this day, whenever I think about Ant-Man, I'm like, man, I wonder what that movie would have been like, because Edgar Wright has such a stylized vision, and the way that he shoots his movies is really different, and the comedy is really different too. And not that I didn't think Ant-Man's comedy was great, but I think a lot of it held on the shoulders of Paul Rudd being funny, and I thought Michael Pena was way overused.
Dude, I love it. I love Michael Pena.
He just has one of those faces I just want to punch, man. But so
he's
that's
looking for a dude that can shrink.
That's what I think is going to be the thing about Han Solo. Is sure, the movie's going to come out and it's being pushed through the mouse. The cutting,
easy there.
Yeah, Goofy and Minnie and Donald and all them people, they're at the switch. They know they're gonna pump out a movie that people are gonna go see that I'm pretty sure is gonna land as an 80 or a 90 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
But I think the hardcore fans like us that are invested in this saw what Lord and Miller did with these other shows and these other movies and said man, I wonder what this would have been like if they had taken control, and because as we discussed before the break about Zack Snyder leaving Justice League and Joss Whedon coming in. Joss Whedon is coming in right at the part where it starts to get – you have all the footage, and now you just have to put it together. And that's, I think, good, because Zack Snyder cuts really good trailers but doesn't cut the best movies necessarily. He's not the best in editing. While I think Lord and Miller's movies and television shows, Clone High, Lego Movie – are especially funny because of the way that they edit them, and their comedic timing is really good.
Yeah.
And I read articles, numerous articles that said that the biggest creative difference is that they relied on improv, and they didn't want to. They used the script as sort of like a backbone, but they also wanted the characters to sort of act a little bit more naturally. And I think that's the big no-no for Kennedy and for the staff, is because when they get into that cutting room floor, if Lord and Miller were to suddenly disappear from the project, or if they weren't to do it their way, how are they going to put together a movie where the comedic timing is relied so heavily on what Lord and Miller think is funny in improv?
That's true. That's a good point.
And so I think that this is probably not a great thing, because if they're going to stay on track for that release date, there's no way that they can go back and reshoot all the stuff that they've already done, because this movie, it was 4 weeks away from completing production.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way they can go back and reshoot all of the stuff that they've already done, and I'm assuming that a lot of it's improv. And now they're going to have a whole different team of people cutting that movie together at the end when that comes time for post. That worries me quite a bit, because
it'd probably get pushed back.
I think that
Christmas again.
I think it probably gets delayed. And
Last Jedi got delayed, so
yeah, it's not a big deal for these movies to get delayed, and they're going to make the same amount of money if it came.
I would almost rather them they just delay it anyway, just to make sure that you have a little more time. So if you need to go back and do stuff,
yeah, we'll see what happens with this. But I would fully expect in the next month, 2 months, 3, maybe D23 or whatever, announce we're hard at work at Han Solo, but we think we're going to need a little bit more time. I can totally see that
D23 is like now.
Is it going on this weekend?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Well, maybe we could hear... We'll have some news to talk about next week.
Whatever trailer drops while we're doing this for The Last Jedi. Holy crap.
I'll keep refreshing.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
But okay, so let's talk about some positives, though. What do you think about Ron Howard taking over, in all honesty, as the director? And, you know, they're keeping the cast, and they want Alden Ehrenreich to work, who I still believe could be a pretty good Han Solo. It's just hard to ever say that anybody will be Han Solo besides Harrison Ford until you see it. But if you think about it, like, the life of that Han Solo character is Harrison Ford's acting off of Lawrence Kasdan's script. Like, that's why we like Han Solo so much, is because of the quips and the liners and stuff that he has in Empire and Jedi, you know, and stuff like that. So it's like, at the same time, it's still... They still have some good people involved, you know. Like, it's still probably it is probably a funny script. Like, Kasdan writes some good comedy. I think The Force Awakens is really funny, and a lot of the Han Solo and Chewbacca stuff in that is great, and how they interact with Finn and whatnot. So I mean, like, if it's anything like that, it could still feel like a good Han Solo movie. It's like you said, you'll always wonder what happened, but that doesn't necessarily mean that this movie's going to tank.
No, I don't think that either, and I think that Ant-Man wasn't bad.
No,
Ant-Man was
one
just
of those C-level Marvel movies.
Yeah, it was just not good. Yeah. It was fine. And my thing is that, the comedy in Force Awakens and even in Rogue One, there's some serious, great stuff from K2SO and like a few of the other characters even, but it's like, when it gets down to it, I really do think that the beauty or the excitement for me as a Star Wars fan, or as like a lapsed Star Wars fan, about the anthology movies was that they were each going to kind of have a different feel. And if Han Solo starts to feel like Rogue One, I think you're losing a little bit of the magic there, because what you could have done is have something a little bit different. And I don't think that's too frightening to have a little bit of improv and a little bit more modern spin on what that character could be. And I don't know. I think Han Solo is a good candidate for that, because he's had some wacky adventures. And really all you need to do is make sure that Alden Ehrenreich kind of personifies Han Solo. Then let the cast of characters around him kind of fill the room. So I think it's kind of, I don't know. I'm really interested to see the movie, because I want to know whether it's like, whether people are going to go, you know, you probably didn't need to fire them. Like, the movie turned out fine. It was like, I like the style. I don't know. So
another thing that I have been thinking about with this is that, you know, I think some of the joy of some of our favorite Star Wars character comes with the mystery. Like with Boba Fett before the Attack of the Clones, one of the coolest part about that character is that nobody really knew what he was, besides the fact that he looked cool and he shot people. Nice. I kind of feel the same way about Han. Is it's like, do we think that like a movie where it's like, what's your name? Chewbacca. Oh, what's yours? Han Solo. Like,
if he spoke like that, hey, what's your name? Chewbacca.
Or if it's like apes,
what the fuck?
And they do subtitles and stuff like that. Like, are those? I think those characters work so well because kind of like their backstory is a mystery. You just know that they get caught up in the rebellion, and then eventually he fathers one of the worst, you know, people in the galaxy, who commits patricide. Spoilers. You know, so it's like maybe this, we'll find out after the movie comes out, but maybe it's a story that didn't need to be told in the same way that I think, or not the same way, but like unlike, I like how the story of the Death Star plans getting told was done well, and I thought that was really interesting.
And it was done in a really unique way too, so really interested to see how they handle Han.
Yep, we'll find out more as it comes along, but let's not get deterred from being pumped for The Last Jedi, son, because we got Luke Skywalker coming back around Christmas. Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.
I cannot wait to see your face in that movie. I'm just going to be constantly like looking over like, is he crying? Is he smiling?
Probably, yeah.
It's both.
That, whenever, I don't know if it's supposed to be in this movie or not, but if Luke and Leia ever reunite and they play that theme from Return of the Jedi, I'm just going to be like a little baby. That's not it. That's Han and Leia's theme.
What's the theme?
I'd have to conjure it up. Oh, it'll come back.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So we got some rapid fire news here. We don't have to harp on any of this stuff because we can hit the big topics right off the bat. But Neil Marshall was interviewed about his Hellboy movie. Said it's going to be bloody, R-rated, and light on the CGI. So
dang,
hitting all the right notes right there. His quote is, "We've been granted permission to do it R-rated," which for me is just like taking the cuffs off. It's like, okay, so now we can just make the movie we want to make. No one's going to stop us. Yeah. So that's the main difference, and I'm sure, obviously, the success of things like Deadpool and Logan have not hurt that cause. But also, when you go back to the original material, it is kind of bloody, so I'm going to embrace that.
Just to talk about ratings real quick.
Sure.
And like an R rating versus a PG-13 rating. We saw War for Planet of the Apes last night. It was rated PG-13.
Yes, lots of violence in that movie.
Yeah, but some of the themes in that are like really dark, like to the point that a 13-year-old can buy a ticket and go see that alone. It's like I feel like at some point, like some of the drama and the things they talk about and the things you see,
yeah, it's heavy.
It's like I feel like it should be rated R, like for some of the things.
Yeah, I mean,
including in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, for
too.
sure.
I think Rise of the Planet of the Apes is PG-13. I think that's fair, but for the other two, it's.
Yeah, you could totally justify an R ratings for like graphic images or like violence. Yeah. I mean, there's scenes where people literally get guns point at their heads, blow. You see like blood.
A lot.
So
there's
it's
a lot of guns in the face in this movie.
I really honestly, and that's like that would be an After Dark topic to talk about for sure. Is like how we view content, fiction in the United States, because violence to me is totally more disturbing than putting an R rating because some dude decides to do full frontal nudity. Yeah. You know, it's like
for sure.
It's like it depends on where you fall down on the spectrum. It's
menacing.
Like it's like
that,
how we as a culture view violence is kind of it's
disgusting.
It's a little what is it called? We're a little overexposed, I guess. Yeah. Maybe. Which
I just we were watching it last night and I was like, this is how people must have felt when they watched Temple of Doom, and we're like, how is this movie PG? You know, that's kind of how I felt last night. It's just like, how is this movie PG-13?
Lots of hands going in bodies and organs.
Yeah.
Kali Ma,
Shakti. Yeah.
So, Batman. You ready to talk about Batman?
Of course.
Are you never ready to talk about Batman? Is there ever a time when you're like, Batman is just not on your mind?
No. I could talk about Batman all day, every day for the rest of my life. Yeah.
Well, good, because we got some hefty news here.
Let's talk about it.
This came out June 27th from Batman News, which apparently is a website.
It is?
Yeah. I mean, this is an IGN article linking to Batman News, but it's...
that's a dope website. You click
I'm loading
on
up the page right now.
You click on it.
Yeah, batmannews.com. Go to batmannews.com for everything you want to hear. But the article says as follows. In a chat with a new trailer buzz via Batman News, Reeves explained that he was as much of a fan of the DC superhero as a child as he was the Planet of the Apes film series. Reeves also drew comparisons between The Dark Knight and the protagonist of the new Apes trilogy, Caesar.
I could do that.
I see a parallel emotionally between Caesar and Batman in that they're both characters who are tortured and trying to get some sort of grapple within themselves to find a way to do the right thing in a very imperfect and to some degree corrupt world. And so it's really that emotionally that I'm interested in. He added, quote, I want to do a very point of view driven. You know, this film and with all films, what I try to do in almost Hitchcockian sense is to use the camera and use the storytelling so that you become the character and you empathize with that point of view. And I think there's a chance to do an almost noir driven detective version of Batman that's point of view driven in a very powerful way that is hopefully going to connect you what's going on inside of his head and inside of his heart. End quote.
Just getting so torqued right now. That sounds so awesome.
So yeah, but, and we have a follow-up story here.
Yeah.
From the Wrap.
It's
the
wrap.
Batman, Matt Reeves has shelved Ben Affleck's script. This was July 12th, so this was 2 days ago.
Probably a good idea.
Says 5 months into the job of directing the upcoming DC film, The Batman, Matt Reeves has set aside the original script written by Ben Affleck and Jeff Johns and is starting again on a completely new take.
You know what this means? We don't have to have Deathstroke anymore.
I was looking forward to that. Well, I don't know.
Why? This is the same thing as Venom.
Deathstroke is cool.
He is cool. He's not a Batman villain though. He kind of shows up every now and then. Whatever.
Ugh.
I'm more pumped about Woody Harrelson playing the Scarecrow in a Matt Reeves Batman.
Is that seriously what they're going to
do? No.
I would be so pissed. Ugh, what a terrible...
He's a Lebanon grad, dude. Come on.
Hey.
Go Warriors.
You should just bring back Danny DeVito as the Penguin. throw that Batman in the trash.
Who would you want to see in a noir-driven Batman film as the villain?
As the villain?
Yeah,
Riddler.
character. The Riddler?
Riddler,
That'd
Doctor
be cool.
Strange.
Hugo Strange would be
Strange,
cool. Hush, which I don't know if you've read or not.
Not all the way.
You still have it, right?
I still have it.
Okay, good. You should read that, and then you'll be like, oh yeah, this makes perfect sense.
Honestly, I think The Long Halloween would be the perfect.
Yeah, it's a lot of rogues in that movie, though.
But that way you can introduce all of them, and that was the whole point in the beginning, was that was like the first article we read about the Batman, was that they were saying it's going to feature Batman's rogues gallery, so what better way to do that than to do The Long Halloween, because then you can have the Joker, everybody can be happy about that, but he's not the main focal point, and you can do Harvey Dent, which is like one of the biggest things in the Batman
It'd be
universe.
interesting to do that Christmas chapter and have like Jared Leto's Joker dressed up as a Santa in like a mall, and he's like, "Tell me, little boy, what do you want for Christmas?" Yeah, that would actually be pretty cool. Who would you want to be Harvey Dent besides Matt Damon? Because that joke is we've just been circling that.
I don't
too
like
much.
that. I don't like that joke because I'm worried it could happen.
I don't think it would happen.
Dude, I don't know. Maybe McConaughey.
All right. All rise. District Attorney.
I don't know.
Harvey
That's a
Dent.
good question. We'll save that one. I'll think about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Little quick one here. More Batman news. Warner Active, Warner Archive on Twitter, at Warner Archive, tweeted on 19th of June, Batman Mask of the Phantasm is coming to Blu-ray next month with a new 2017 1080p HD remaster.
What day does that actually come out?
Let me check.
Because I need to buy that.
Because I haven't seen any news about like the actual release, so
Yeah.
I think they just announced it. I don't know if it has a release date.
I mean, that's arguably my favorite Batman movie, so
It's a great movie.
that's a day one purchase for me for sure. If I could just watch the scene where, spoilers, Sal goes to the old Gotham World's Fair and the Joker is like at home and he's got like he lives in that robotic house and his wife's the robot and stuff like that. God, it's so funny. Paul Dini, man,
It's out now.
What a work! What?
It looks like it's out now. It looks like it's already been price cut down to $17.99 on the.
Go to Amazon. I might have to go to Target after we get done recording this.
Even more torqued.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch this tonight. Like late. Yes.
$17.99 on Amazon.
Wait, does it say when it's coming out, or is that it's out?
It's out. Oh wait, July 25th.
Okay,
so
cool.
we
So I
got a
some
little bit of time. You got 10
so I can
days.
pre-order it.
Okay, cool.
Thank God. I would have not felt like an animated Batman fan if I didn't already have that.
I'm glad we shared in that moment together.
That was great. That was a lot of fun. Kids, if you haven't seen Mask of the Phantasm, do me a favor, watch all 4 volumes of Batman the Animated Series, and then watch Mask of the Phantasm.
Wow.
Or at least the first 2 volumes, and then Mask of the Phantasm. You got to have some exposure to Mark Hamill's Joker to really enjoy that movie.
So from the wrap, John Oliver joins Disney's live action The Lion King. Guess who's playing?
Zazu.
You bet your ass.
Okay, so we got Craig from Parks and Rec is Timon, Seth Rogen is Pumbaa, John Oliver is Zazu, James Earl Jones is Mufasa, Donald Glover, Childish Gambino is Simba. Have they announced that Jeremy Irons is coming back as Scar yet or not?
Nope.
Do you think he will?
Nope.
Do you think he's too busy with Justice League to come back for The Lion King? Or future Batman projects?
I don't know. They haven't cast anybody but James Earl Jones.
See, the problem...
So I don't think that he's coming back.
It's like not having him play Scar to Jones's Mufasa. It's like not having Mark Hamill's Joker play against Kevin Conroy's Batman. Like it's like I think those two
intimately tied.
Yeah, they're very iconic, and his voice as Scar is. I mean, it is Scar, but we'll see. I mean, if they get like a Cumberbatch or something, I'm sure that'll be fine too. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Who do you get to play Nala? Margot Robbie.
Zendaya.
You mean what her friends call her?
My friends call me MJ.
I didn't like that. Did you like that?
No, not at all.
I don't like it either. I mean,
I
it's
like
fine.
Liz quite a bit.
I like Liz a lot.
I like the Liz character, but I did not.
Spoilers, she's not here anymore. Like,
Yeah. Well, I think they'll find a way to work her in.
she's gonna move back from Oregon.
Maybe like a love triangle thing in the third Homecoming, like Spider-Man. So it's Spider-Man Homecoming, then it's going to be Spider-Man Prom.
Junior year prom. And then senior year prom.
They're going to call it the Homecoming Prom.
Graduation.
First kid.
Oh, graduation.
What's
wrong with your time clock?
Keeping on the Disney train. This just published today, so we got the scoop. You ready?
I like scoops.
All right, me
too. Ice cream.
Oh, it's National Ice Cream Day today. Did you know that?
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
We got to celebrate.
I got some ice cream upstairs. We should just eat it out of the carton while we do the rest of the show.
And right up next to the mic, so it's like... From IGN.com, Terry Schwartz writes, audiences might have waited 14 years for a sequel to The Incredibles by the time the second film comes out in 2018, but not as much time has passed for the movie's titular family. Speaking with IGN, Pixar Chief Creative Officer John Lasseter confirmed that The Incredibles 2 begins immediately after the events of the first Incredibles. Quote, it starts right as the first one finishes, so it just carries on, end quote. Lasseter said during an interview with D23, quipping that only a minute will have passed. He added, quote, it starts with the Underminer and a big old set piece. You know that at the end of the first movie when he comes up and you see the family dressed as superheroes, well, that's where we start the movie. End quote.
What a great movie The Incredibles is.
It was a great movie, but how do you feel about this? I know a lot of people were like wondering about how they were going to deal with Incredibles 2.
I'm fine with it. Pixar sequels are, it's kind of a hit or miss. At least it's not a prequel, like Monsters University, which is like okay. Finding Dory, it's just okay. The Cars sequels are really bad. I mean, the only ones that they've really gotten right is Toy Story with those sequels. So I think that, starting from right there is fine. I always wondered what happened when the Underminer showed up. So let me see. He won't be the villain for the whole movie.
No, he'll definitely be like...
It'll be like the Scarecrow at the beginning of Dark Knight, Who we got?
We got, I don't know, some person on CNN Entertainment talking on the TV. Nice. But yeah, okay, so that's the end of that. We got one television topic to talk about.
TV.
We got Emmys.
So
the 69th Primetime Emmy Awards.
Who's host of that?
Who is the host?
Get ready for some jokes to be made.
I don't know. Who is the host? That's a good question.
You had to guess right now. Who would be the host? Probably Jimmy Fallon or something.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a late night host if I had to put money on it. Stephen Colbert.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's good.
That's fine. I'm fine
I like
with
that. Yeah. I liked when Amy Poehler and Tina Fey did the Golden Globes. That was pretty lit. So I can go through some of these if you want.
If Aziz Ansari wasn't nominated for Master of None, a.k.a. the best TV show on the planet, I would love to see him host an award show because I think that would be just awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you guys won! I'm so happy for you.
All right, so
run me through.
All right. So let's start out in the category of outstanding drama series. House of Cards, Better Call Saul, The Crown, Handmaid's Tale, This Is Us, Westworld, and Stranger Things. Did you watch any of these in completion?
So I'm not completely caught up with Better Off Saul.
Better Off Saul.
Man, we're living this left and right, zapping and scooting.
Wasted.
Yeah, sure. I haven't seen Better Call Saul, but I've seen most of the first season. I'm interested to get into it. Not caught up with, not seen The Crown, not seen The Handmaid's Tale. I'm starting to get caught up on House of Cards, but not there. Stranger Things, watched all of it. This Is Us, not watched it. Westworld, watched all of it.
See, I've seen half of Westworld and all of Stranger Things. And I watched Breaking Bad.
Between Stranger Things and Westworld, which I think are the two picks, honestly, for me, I think Stranger Things has a better chance of getting it because they're nominated for so many categories, and I think that if they give it to drama series, if they give Stranger Things Outstanding Drama Series, they can give more awards to the other shows. Stranger Things is a phenomena, and I'm excited about season 2, but it's an ensemble cast. It's a phenomena. It was the most widely viewed Netflix show. It's inspired memes and crazy amounts of content, and everybody loves that cast, and so I think getting them up on stage for Outstanding Drama is what will save them from giving them awards for every single other category.
Sure, yeah.
So I think Stranger Things takes it. If not that, I actually think that The Crown has a chance because a lot of people like that show quite a bit, and it's getting really high critical buzz.
I have a sleeper pick for this category.
Which
I want Stranger Things to win, but I think Better Call Saul is going to win.
Okay. I know people really like season
I've heard
2.
nothing but amazing things about it this past season. So that's my pick for that category. Moving on to the Outstanding Comedy Series. We got a lot of good ones, all of which I really need to watch, some of which you have watched, so you can talk more about them. We got Veep, Atlanta, Blackish, Master of None, Modern Family, Silicon Valley, and Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
So I'm
Zach Rotellus, take us into the TV Guru Guide. Go!
I'm completely caught up on Veep, Silicon Valley, Master of None, and Atlanta. Okay. Or no, not Atlanta.
Atlanta.
Atlanta's the one that I want to get on.
Yeah, for sure. It's got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, by the way. So does Master of None.
In my personal opinion, I think Master of None is maybe the best television show I've seen in years. Mm-hmm. I think the way that they handle character drama and comedy is really good. And also, I wasn't expecting it to, but that season really says something. Like, it has a message, and the message is really strong. And I still think about it. Like, I of all the things, the things that I've the entertainment that I've consumed in 2017 so far, like of Spider-Man movies, of video games that I played this year. Sure. Master of None is the one that's really stuck with me and like kept me thinking about it. And so, like, for me, that is totally clear. I would bet that Atlanta wins. Okay, I think Master of None's going to win. Do you think so? Yeah, okay. I think it has enough weight and legs, and I think it'll do well. At least I hope so, because I really like Aziz. Not that I don't like Donald Glover, I love him too, but I think Master of None's going to take it this year. So now we're moving on to Outstanding Limited Series. We have Big Little Lies, Feud, The Night Of, Fargo, and Genius. Did you watch any of these? Where are you? Oh, okay. Yours is a little different. I'm on the Rotten Tomatoes. No, so I've not watched any of these. Okay, so I can't say anything. I have a pick. I've heard nothing but great things about both Fargo and The Night Of, so I think it's going to be between those two, but I think Fargo is going to take it. Yeah, so I started watching season 1 of Fargo, and I had to stop. Really? Because I couldn't take Martin Freeman. Really? Have I not talked about this? No. I love Martin Freeman, love him to death, and that. Oh wait, you said he's evil, right? Yes, he plays a bad. He's not evil. He plays a character like worse than Walter White. It's like unbearable to watch. Yes, yeah, and that was I had to stop, and maybe I'll pick it up one of these days because my girlfriend loves it. But one of these days I'll hopefully pick it up. But man, it was getting to the point where I was just like closing my eyes and like looking away because I couldn't deal with what I was seeing, because I've always seen Martin Freeman as the good guy. Yeah, sure. Like I see him, I look at him, I see John Watson, I see Bilbo Baggins. It's like, it just made me so uncomfortable watching that. All right. So I don't know. Okay, so you want to do best actor or actress real quick? We can. I was just scrolling through this list, but yeah, let's go down to that. Lead actor in a drama series. We have Sterling K. Brown for This Is Us, Anthony Hopkins for Westworld, Kevin Spacey, House of Cards, Bob Odenkirk, Better Call Saul, Matthew Reeves, The Americans, Liv Schreiber, Ray Donovan, and Milo Ventimiglia. This Is Us. No idea. Love Bob Odenkirk. Anthony Hopkins didn't really do enough in Westworld, I think, to warrant that nomination. Or do you think so? I don't think he should be nominated for a lead actor, no. Yeah, that's not really what I would call it. I also haven't finished this season, so I don't know how the last half of it goes. I would really be interested to know what you think about how that show ends. It's really bizarre. Yeah, I'm going to watch it. Okay. Lead actress, Viola Davis, How to Get Away with Murder, Claire Floyd, The Crown, Elizabeth Moss, Handmaid's Tale, Kerry Russell, The Americans, Evan Rachel Wood, Westworld, Robin Wright, House of Cards. I give it to Evan Rachel Wood, because I love her character in that. She plays the main girl. I think that's way more deserving than Anthony Hopkins for a character from Westworld. Yeah. So. Yeah. All right. Comedy series actress. Yeah. Ellie Camper, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, Allison Janney, Mom. I think it's Janie or Janie. Julia Louis-Dreyfus for Veep. Tracy Ellis Ross for Blackish. Lily Tomlin for Grace and Frankie. Jane Fonda for Grace and Frankie. And Pamela Adlon for Better Things. So, I believe that Julia Louis-Dreyfus was what won last year. She did. For Veep. Yeah. So, I don't think they'll give it to her. So, I'm going to go with another sleeper pick here. I'm going to go with Ellie Camper from Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. I know a lot of people like that show. Yeah, because I like The Office, and she's great in that.
Lead actor in a comedy series, Jeffrey Tambor for Transparent.
Who won last year, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Aziz Ansari for Master of None, Donald Glover for Atlanta, Anthony Anderson for Blackish, William H. Macy for Shameless, and Zach Galifianakis for Baskets. You want to pause it real quick?
All right, excuse us technical difficulties. We are back. Did we do lead actor in a comedy series? We were kind of like discussing it.
We didn't pick, but we read through them.
Okay.
So,
I'd give it to Aziz, but I haven't seen any of the other performances.
Did Anthony Anderson win last year for Blackish?
I think Blackish won something, but I don't know if he won lead actor.
I might give it to him.
Okay. All right, so you can go to CNN Entertainment and read this list if you are more interested or anything, if you want to look at all the deep, in-depth picks. Really quick, there's not much video game news going on, surprisingly.
Well, we didn't talk about one very important thing.
What didn't we talk?
I'm sorry. Outstanding supporting actor in a drama series. I think we both want David Harbour to win for Stranger Things.
For sure. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I would also be okay if Jeffrey Wright won for Westworld, because I think his character is also fantastic.
Who is Jeffrey Wright? Is he Bernard?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great in that show as well.
Yeah. But I also wouldn't mind if Jonathan Banks won, because I love Mike Ehrmantraut from Breaking Bad, and I've heard he's great.
Man, that's a lot of great supporting actors.
Dude, the supporting
list.
supporting actor is stacked. You want to read through it real fast?
Yeah,
just real quick. John Lithgow for The Crown, Jonathan Banks, Better Call Saul, Mandy Patinkin for Homeland, Michael Kelly, House of Cards, David Harbour, Stranger Things, Ron Cephas Jones, This Is Us, and Jeffrey Wright, Westworld. Pretty solid.
Crazy, man.
Moving on.
So
yeah, watch the Emmys if you want a good time.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll check them out and have something to say.
Yep.
But anyway.
Nothing, sorry.
What is there? What?
Carrie Fisher is nominated for an Outstanding Guest Actress in a Comedy Series for Catastrophe. Do you think she'll win that, and it'll be a post?
I don't really know who she's up against.
Wanda Sykes, Becky Ann Baker, Angela Bassett, Kristen Wiig, and Melissa McCarthy.
I don't know. I bet if any of those other women win, they will dedicate that award to Carrie Fisher.
I would like to, yeah. I can't see a world where she doesn't win.
Yeah. We'll see.
All right, anyway.
So anyways.
Emmys, 69. Check it out. The Emmys, not 69.
Well, check out you. Hey, we encourage
all forms of
education here on Radio Vania.
Yeah. They gotta be informed. Give the people what they want.
There wasn't much video game news, like I said. We just came off E3, so every big announcement was at E3. But there was one significant announcement, John, that didn't make the stage, that was still a big announcement, and I would wager is maybe one of the biggest announcements of the year. The Super Nintendo Entertainment System Classic Edition.
I wish I had that air horn thing again, like that one show.
Yeah.
I don't know why I don't do that every show. I'm gonna start doing that next time.
Cue it up for every single time. So, the golden age of 16-bit gaming returns. Yoshi, Samus, and the Star Fox crew are waiting for you to come and play. The Super NES Classic Edition system has the original look and feel of the 90s home console, only smaller. Plus, this one comes fully loaded with 21 games. The 90s called and they want their controllers back. 2 wired retro Super NES Classic controllers are included for multiplayer gaming right out of the box. Get your hands on some of the best 2-player games of the era, including Super Mario Kart, Street Fighter II, Turbo Hyper Fighting. Super NES Classic Edition is compatible with the Classic Controller and Classic Controller Pro accessories. Just plug in and play. It is included with 21 games, which include... You ready for this list?
Yeah.
Super Mario World.
Fire.
Super Mario Kart.
Fire.
The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past.
Fire.
F-Zero.
Fire.
Super Metroid.
Fire.
Super Street Fighter 2.
Fire.
Super Punch-Out.
Fire.
Castlevania
Fire.
3. Donkey Kong Country.
Fire.
Mega Man X.
Fire.
Kirby Superstar,
Fire.
which is 8 Kirby games in one. Final Fantasy 3, which is Final Fantasy 6 in Japan.
Fire.
Kirby's Dream Course. I don't really know anything about that one, so that's like whatever. I think it's a racer.
Okay.
I think it's a
People
racer.
really liked Kirby back when the SNES was coming out.
Star Fox.
Fire.
Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island.
Fire.
Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars.
Fire.
Have you ever played Mario RPG?
No.
If we get our hands on one of these bad boys, it'd be fun to play that, because
We
that game is
must
whack.
get our hands.
That game
on
is
one of
whack.
those.
Contra 3.
Don't get a landline, kids. They're the worst thing in the world.
We just dropped ours at the home.
It's more expensive to drop it from our phone bill than it is to keep it and let it ring.
We have so many callers calling in for Radiovania. Pick up the line.
Hello, who is it? Oh, Michael Fassbender. You heard about the show, huh? Yeah, you want to talk? Hey, come on.
So you're gonna be Two-Face, see?
Yeah, you're gonna be Harvey Dent, huh? It's sparkling. Click.
Sparkling. Secret of Mana, which I've never played. Earthbound, which is getting its first like official
Earthbound
release, and then Super Ghouls and Ghosts.
Okay.
The really weird one here, the one that you might have heard about, is Star Fox 2. So did you read about this one at all?
Mm-mm.
So there was a big hubbub about the games that were released specifically because of Star Fox 2, which never has been released in the US. It was released in Japan, and it was released late in the life of the console. And by the time it was coming about to be released, Nintendo decided that it would be too expensive and not worth it for them to release that game in the States. So it just never came out.
Really?
But it's packaged into the Super SNES, the Classic Edition, and so players in the US, if you've not emulated the game before or found it on eBay or imported it, you can play it for the first time the way it was meant to be played, which is really awesome, and I'm really excited to try and hopefully get my hands on this thing and touch it. It retails, so there are 21 games on it, and it retails for $80.
That's fair.
So there's $20 more attached, and 10 or 9 fewer games. But
they're better games.
There are better games.
And they're longer, yeah.
And we also have to remember that the NES Classic had, like, Pac-Man and Galaga and, like, Tetris.
Yeah.
Which aren't necessarily NES games, but the Super Nintendo has some people might say the best games ever.
I would say so, yeah.
Like, Super Mario World, Super Metroid, Super Mario Kart, Link to the Past. I mean, like, those... Donkey Kong Country I would even put up in that echelon, like... And I've never been huge into Final Fantasy, but like
sure.
Final Fantasy 6 is the one that a lot of people think is like the best one. It's like 2D sprite-based, turn-based RPG game. Like, I would totally love to jump back into that. Yoshi's Island I think is fantastic. Earthbound is one of the most highly regarded RPGs that Nintendo's ever made, and it's so hard to find in the States. Someone did a calculation on Nintendo Voice Chat from IGN, which is their weekly Nintendo show that you can go check out. I highly recommend it. One of the guys on the show did a tabulation and figured out that if you were to go into Amazon and try to buy a used SNES and all of these games at the most average value, you would be paying close to, I want to say he said somewhere in the $300 to $400 range. And that's depending on the condition of the cart, depending on how many controllers you get, blah, 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 where you get the console from. So this is an incredible deal if you put it in, you kind of put it in context. Yeah. The question is...
How do you get one?
How do you get one? So CNET.com writes about how to pre-order the SNES Classic Edition. They say... The console will come with 21 pre-installed games. It seems that many retailers still don't have pre-order pages for the SNES Classic up yet, and many of those that did have pages have scrapped them. Interestingly enough, even the official Nintendo page still says retail info coming soon. In the US, no one is offering pre-orders yet, but, which is what I did, you can sign up for alerts from Amazon and Best Buy so you'll be notified in email when pre-orders are available. We already know that Best Buy will be offering the console for $80. Walmart did have a pre-order page set up for the SNES, but it has been taken down. Blah, 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 blah. So basically, we need to be vigilant. We need to be constantly eyes peeled on the wide webs. I signed up for alerts from Best Buy and Amazon, and I suggest that you would do the same.
Yeah.
But, yes, this is what the page looks like for the SNES Classic right now. It's, sign up for alert, blah, 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 blah.
How fast do you think these suckers are going to sell out when that alert goes up?
So my thought is that, and again, I'll bring up MVC from IGN. They brought up a really good point, which is that I think the NES has a way broader appeal than the SNES. I think more people bought the NES in its original, when it originally came out. Like, even my parents had one. Like, my grandparents had one at the house just to play or whatever. It was like... that was a huge console, and that was like one of the highest selling. I mean, Mario, the original Mario is still like the number one highest selling game of all time. It's like so many people had that, so many people just like bought it out of the wind because they had to have it. And I think that the nostalgia of an NES reached a broader audience than the SNES. And we also heard that Nintendo was trying to up production on this. So they're trying to make more of these than the NES, and I think we're dealing with a less fervor of an audience. So I actually think we have a shot at getting one of these. But it's still like I'm going to say a 65%.
That's fair, yeah.
How are you feeling?
I would put it around that as well. I think we'll be able to get our hands on one, but whether or not you get it online is going to be weird. I think the day that they are like posted as like coming out in retail stores, I think you and I are going to wind up having to go on hunt.
Yeah, so we'll see about that.
We're going to be going to a lot of Walmarts and Targets and weird stuff like that.
And not to give too many secrets away from our audience, but if you are interested in getting one of these bad boys, what I heard that a lot of people were able to get their hands on an NES Classic was use Amazon Prime Now. Because Amazon Prime Now delivers direct to your house, and they have a different stock than the website, Amazon.com. So it's possible that they got shipped 15 to 20 units to your local Amazon Prime Now stockroom that you could snatch up too. So if you're out of luck on Amazon, out of luck on Best Buy, out of luck on Target and Walmart, I say last ditch effort, go for that Prime Now. See if you can get that sucker delivered to you. And then reap the rewards.
Yeah.
You don't even have to get out of your underwear.
No.
Just answer the door.
Hello. Did somebody order a SNES?
So that's all the news I have.
I think we got an email, right?
Did we get an email?
I think we finally got an email.
That's true. Well, do you want me to read the response, or should you read the response?
I think you should read it.
Okay, so we got an email from an adoring fan. We reached out.
It's this little boy who lives in Texas.
We promised that we would read any email that was sent into the show. A Mr. Cal Smith wrote into the email and said, "I'm on my way to Ireland with nothing to listen to. What happened? Also, I got my Switch and it rocks, Cal." And so we replied, "Dear loyal listener, we hear your feedback, and all of us here at Radio Vania want to thank you so much for listening and writing in. Unfortunately, due to John Swansong Parker being in Hawaii, there haven't been any new episodes recorded. However, our hardworking editing team has been toiling away at a Wonder Woman review episode. Look forward to hearing more from your favorite podcasting team in the coming weeks." We attached a photo there of us, hanging out. But anyway, yeah, so Cal, thank you for writing in. Thank you for the email. It's very sweet to hear from you. We're glad that you got your Switch. We know that there are many of you out there that still haven't gotten your Switches, but we're happy
take it to Ireland.
That you got it. And yeah, have you talked to him about how he enjoyed it, on the flight? What games he's playing?
I haven't talked to him since he's been there, but he told me that he was going to take it. So he brought Zelda and Mario Kart.
Cool. Well, best of luck to you. I finished Zelda this past week, clocked in at I think it was, they don't give you an exact timer on the game, which kind of sucks, but I would wager I was 68 or 69 hours.
69 hours, nice.
Really enjoyed my time with it. Love that game. Maybe the best, probably my game of the year. It's close to, it's either that, Horizon, or Persona 5, which is
until that Lost Legacy comes out.
We'll see about Lost Legacy. We still got Call of Duty. We've got Battlefront 2. We've got
God of War is next year.
God of War is next year.
Okay. Mario Odyssey.
Mario Odyssey is another big contender. I'm really excited about Odyssey, man.
Woohoo!
Can't wait. Yeah. So yeah, there we go. That's our emails for the show. John, did you have anything else to talk about this week?
People send more emails because emails are fun and we like to read them and respond to them.
Yeah, exactly.
We're pretty friendly, I feel like. So I
got my friend Dylan out there from Homage. I know you're listening to this. You just started catching up on all the he just texted me today and said, actually, you know what? A text is as good as an email, isn't it?
Okay.
Wouldn't you say that's as good as an email?
Yeah, it's a message.
So we got an
SMS text message.
SMS email text message from my friend Dylan. He says,
shout out to Dylan.
"Hey, bud, listening to your podcast on Suicide Squad. I know I'm a year late, but did you ever watch the extended version?"
Oh, no, I don't like him already. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Oh, man, harsh.
No, yeah, you sound like a good fellow.
I told him I had watched the extended cut.
You did?
Yeah.
What? How are we going to talk to you about this?
Well, I watched all the scenes and everything like that.
Oh.
I didn't.
What'd you think?
It was fine. I mean, it's still a bad movie, but it was cool to see more of Joker and Harley. But it's not it doesn't help the movie at all.
Okay.
It's just a bunch of extra garbage.
Okay. Anyway, what does he say about it?
He said, I totally agree. You can't introduce 8 characters with such rich backstories and then try to jam it into a 2-hour movie. The added 30 minutes still wasn't enough. It's like an appetizer sampler where you only like 1 or 2 of the items in it, but you're stuck eating it all. You guys nailed the review, though. So thank you, Dylan. Thank you for reaching out.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's good to hear. Thanks a lot, Dylan.
So he also said he listened to our Lost podcast, said we nailed it. So,
dude, this guy's awesome.
All right, so
we gotta have him on the show. All
right, so this
is what we do. We bring our fans onto the show.
We don't have any fans. So
It's true.
That was the email. Do we have a jingle for the email box, or is it the air horn?
I was gonna go with Jay Pizzle's Mail Bizzle.
Jay Pizzle's Mail Bizzle.
I think that, yeah.
Okay,
pretty fun. Yeah, in the future we'll do that. So let's go to some comic shop real quick. I'm not reading a whole lot as consistently as I was, but I have gotten back into it, as evidenced by the fact that the past 5 to 10 episodes we've had comic shop again. But anywho, if you're a big fan of Batman and you're a big fan of Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo's Batman from the New 52 run, you know that Metal is coming out in August. It's going to be a 6-part story. So we have the 2 Prelude comics that came out in mid-June, and the other one came out this most recent Wednesday in mid-July.
And speaking of these covers, man.
These are gorgeous-looking
covers. Art.
They're metallic and shiny with 2 cover arts by Jim Lee, arguably the best artist in comics. So we got our first one, which is Dark Days the Forge, followed by our second one, which is Dark Days the Casting. I just read the casting before you showed up to my house. They're really, 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 really weird.
Okay.
It's very whack. Basically, I'm not going to spoil it for people that haven't read it, since casting just came out recently, and maybe you're kind of waiting until they're both out to read both of them. But this is setting up Metal, like I said before. Metal is going to be about the dark multiverse coming to our Earth because of Batman's. He's been following this investigation about these ancient metals for a really long time that involve a lot of different deep-cut DC characters that we haven't seen in the New 52 or Rebirth a whole lot of, like Hawkman, Hawkgirl, Plastic Man, Duke, Hal Jordan, the Challengers of the Unknown, people like that, Talia al Ghul, and all this fun stuff. They're really cool books. They're really well written, despite how confusing they are. Snyder and Tynion the Fourth, I think is how you say his last name, who writes Detective, do a really good job with the character. So I think they're still serving that well. Jim Lee's art's great. Romita Jr.'s art's great. Kubert's art's great. It's kind of weird having the artist switch mid-panels. That's kind of, or not mid-panels, but like mid-scenes, sort of. That's kind of strange, but they do a little bit better job in the casting of not doing that. And then light spoilers, the Joker is back. So this is the first time we've seen the Joker since the end of the New 52. And he is in both of these books. So that's kind of fun to have him back and involved. So we'll see how he plays into Dark Knight's Metal when that starts in
and also John
August.
Boyega here on the cover.
Yeah,
of the casting.
Yeah, that's John Boyega. That's Duke.
That's Duke.
Duke Thomas.
Duke Thomas.
Yep.
Who is he? Cyborg?
He's a Snyder-created character who's been a new sidekick for Batman since the New 52, because all the Robins are doing their own thing now. We have Nightwing, Red Robin, and Robin, and what's his name, Red Hood. So, but it's cool. I mean, Hal Jordan's a lot of fun. I love Hal Jordan, and then give me some Batman and Joker, and I'm happy. So it's cool. It's good. They're 2 really fun comics to read, and like I said, they're just kind of beautiful to look at. Like I kind of just want to hang them up. So
yeah, you should get some frames.
You know what I mean?
That'd be cool.
So yeah, go ahead and check those out at your local comic store. I suggest buying I know digital comics is more convenient, but I drove 20 minutes to and 20 minutes back from Epic Loot in Centerville just to get these, because I do think having the physical copies of these beautiful books and covers is totally worth it. And let's keep that printed comic medium alive, please, and thank you, because that's how I like to read my comics. But anyway, that's all the comic shop that I had, so you'll be hearing from me again comic-wise when Dark Knight's Metal #1 comes out. I think it's August 16th. So
man, that's a pretty long gap.
They're doing it like every month.
Okay.
It's like a month away between all these big Batman books.
So each of these have pretty hefty cliffhangers?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Dude, it's pretty whack. Like,
pretty whack.
We're talking like Batman versus an army of demon bat monsters that are going to be... It's crazy. Yeah. So it's pretty fun. But otherwise, that's all I got for comics. I read a bunch of comics on the trip, but they're kind of stuff that I've reread. So I did read a lot of Black Panther stuff on I have Comixology Unlimited now, so I can read a bunch of Marvel things for $4.99 a month, which is pretty dope. So I've been getting caught up on some characters that I don't really know as much about that have movies coming out, so that I can kind of be more versed. So I read a pretty cool Black Panther book that started out well and did not end well, but it was pretty enjoyable. I got another one that I downloaded that I'm looking forward to checking out, which is supposed to be like the definitive Black Panther story arc. So I'll let you know when I finish that. But it's getting me amped up for that movie since that's coming out in February. And getting me more attached to the character and exposed to all these side characters. Like, I don't know if you saw the Entertainment Weekly
I looked at all this
Royal Family thing.
Yeah.
That was pretty dope. But really you don't know anything about those guys unless you read the comics. And
I wonder how much exposition we're going to get in this one, because I feel like we're going to need quite a bit about Wakanda. But this
is going to be like Lion King is how I'm feeling. Like, I think the Black Panther is going to be a little Lion King.
How awesome would it be if the movie started with that song?
Yeah, that soundtrack's going to be kick-ass.
I can't wait. I love... Like I said, I told John, I came around on the trailer. I was not feeling it when I saw it on my computer screen, but when I saw it in the theater, I was like, they got me.
Yeah.
I like the soundtrack, the bass, and the speakers.
Actors are fantastic.
Everyone looks cool. Can't wait to see it.
Yep.
So, that's Marvel for you.
Putting out product. And my dad is here on the show. Say hi to all the people, Dad.
Say hi to Cal.
Hello, adoring public.
Do you have any? You have a PSA that you'd like to share with the world, real quick? Go out on the interwebs.
Hydrate or die. Wear sunscreen.
Oh,
okay. That's pretty solid.
And with that note, we'll close the show. I think we're closing the show. As always, you can email the show at radiovaniashow@gmail.com. You can tweet me at Zach Rotello. You can follow the account at Radiovania Show on Instagram, and you can also tweet the show at Radiovania. Go to radiovania.com and like the video, subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up, give us a comment, and as always, like we reiterated, send us emails, ask us questions. If you have any questions that you'd like to, or topic ideas that you'd like to send in, we just proved.
Yeah.
We'll read that stuff on air.
Yeah.
So.
And to kind of poke a little bit at the future, we were kind of talking a little bit before we went on the air, but we very much want to continue doing the show, even though we're kind of going our separate ways from being as closely knit as Cincinnati to Columbus. It'll be more of a Cincinnati to Cleveland type thing, which I just can't get my head around saying. But we're going to try and do stuff, separately and then splicing it together to keep putting out shows and maybe even expanding our horizons with various other shows. I know I have a lot of solo projects that I think would be fun to do, and I'm sure Zach could do some really fun stuff too. So be on the lookout for some exciting things, as well as for the rest of the summer before I move up to Cleveland, which will be around August 12th. We want to try, I know I do, want to try and do some after darks with some of our friends before everybody starts their job careers, as well as maybe a couple of like fun shows, kind of like the Lost Cast, where we can focus on one specific thing and just you and I talk about something cool.
I agree.
I think that'd be a really fun couple of things that we can put up since we took 2 months off, sort of.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, to anyone that listens, at least even to this far. I mean, you're an hour and 27 minutes deep into this nonsense, so... Which
is pretty solid and concise for a comeback show after so much news, but...
Yeah, figure we'd ramble for at least 2.5 hours.
I was thinking we were going to do a 1:45 type showing.
We're going to close this thing out at 1:28:20 or something like that.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, John, cheers.
Yeah, cheers. Until next time.
Sounds good.